All right, part 2. So in here we have a red blood cell in different solutions. This one is in a vinegar solution, this one is in pure water, and this one is in corn syrup. We notice that this one is kind of like a medium-sized one compared to this one, which is really, really large, and this one, which is really, really small. So they want to know that based on these pictures, what do you think the purpose of the cell membrane is? So A, be completely impermeable. Impermeable means that nothing can pass through. Nothing passes. You shall not pass. I know that this is wrong because my cells got big and they got small. So something must have been crossing. It is semi-permeable. So this is wrong. Allows solutes into the cell and make it shrink. So the cell membrane could allow solutes into the cell, but if it did, it would not shrink. It would go big because you're putting things in, so it would go bigger. So this is not it because it said shrink. Allows water to enter and leave the cell. Ooh, this one looks promising. Removes the stuff from the cell. That's not the main purpose of the cell membrane. The cell membrane works both ways, move things in and move things out. So I'm going to say that this is not completely true. So the right answer is allow water to enter and leave the cell. This is, water is the main thing that moves across cell membranes. And so in this one, water probably moved in a lot, so it made it bigger. And in this one, water moved out. All right, next up. What is the main difference between eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells? Pro means no. So prokaryotic do not have a nucleus. No nucleus for the prokaryotes. They also do not have membrane-bound organelles. Bound organelles. Number 10, the purpose of this exchange of genetic information, this is known as crossing over, happens during meiosis when there are gametes being produced. So you can't see the colors here, but you'll see it in your OneNote. These two strings crossed and now they are exchanged. So this exchange in genetic information allows for an increase in variation of genetics. If these randomly switch around, you are likely to look different from your siblings. That's why all of your siblings look somewhat different. Which cell cycle phase happens right before G2? So in my cell cycle, I have G1, S, G2. Right before G2 is S. Synthesis. What happens during the S phase of the cycle? What happens during synthesis? DNA is replicated. DNA replication. DNA will double in size to allow for division. All right. Which section of this graph shows the S phase? So I just said that the S phase is when DNA is replicated. This graph shows the amount of DNA, normal amount, double the amount. So we have to select the part of the graph that shows a doubling of DNA, since during the S phase, DNA is replicated. The only part of the graph where I see that DNA grows twice the size is going from here to here. So this section is probably my S phase. All right, next up. Almost done here. Which phase of mitosis is shown by the arrow? This arrow is pointing at chromosomes that look like they're doing this. They're like, whoa. So that are going apart, and anaphase both start with A. So my answer is anaphase. What is the movement of water called? That is osmosis. Number 16. Which of these will lose the most mass? So we have, let's pretend that these are little bags that have a semi-permeable membrane. There's 4 bags in 4 different solutions. If you remember, M stands for the amount of concentration. So the higher the concentration outside, the larger that number gets. So we need to remember that water goes where the party is. So if the party, the bigger the party, the more water will go, right? So this is the biggest party out of these because it's the biggest number. 0.6 is bigger than 0.4, 0.2, and 0. So a lot of water is going to come out here and go into the party. So D will lose the most mass because more water is leaving because there is a higher concentration outside. And make sure you read number 17.